It was a chilly October evening when Emily, a college student looking to make some extra cash, found herself standing outside the ominous Victorian mansion of the Thompson family. She had agreed to babysit their 2 young children, Tommy and Lily, while the parents attended a late-night event in town. The Thompsons were known for their reclusive nature, and their house had always seemed a little eerie to the locals. Emily had heard the rumours about the man upstairs, but she dismissed them as mere superstitions. The parents hurriedly left, reminding Emily to make sure the children were in bed by 9:30 p.m. As soon as the front door closed behind them, an eerie silence enveloped the house. Emily decided to start with dinner. She warmed up some leftover pizza for the kids and sat them down in the dimly lit dining room. The children were well behaved, but they had a strange glint in their eyes, almost as if they knew something Emily didn't. As the clock ticked closer to bedtime, Emily began to feel a growing unease. She tucked Tommy and Lily into their beds, read them a bedtime story, and kissed them goodnight. The house was eerily quiet, except for the faint creaking of the old wooden floorboards. Emily tried to shake off her anxiety and decided to watch TV in the living room. Hours passed, and the clock struck midnight. Emily had started to relax when she heard a noise coming from upstairs. It sounded like footsteps, slow and deliberate, as if someone were walking with heavy boots. She tried to rationalize it, convincing herself it was just an old house settling. But her heart raced as the footsteps continued. With trembling hands, Emily grabbed her phone and texted the parents, asking if they had forgotten to mention someone else would be in the house. There was no response. She considered calling the police, but without concrete evidence, she knew it would be futile. Instead, she mustered the courage to investigate the source of the noise. She crept up the narrow staircase, her heart pounding in her chest. The footsteps grew louder as she approached the top of the stairs. Her mind raced, and she gripped a heavy brass candlestick for protection. At the top of the stairs, she hesitated for a moment before deciding to check Tommy and Lily's room first. The room was empty, and the beds were neatly made. Panic surged through her as she realized the children were gone. She rushed to the master bedroom, where the parents had told her to stay away from. But the door was ajar, and a dim light spilled into the hallway. Emily pushed it open cautiously, revealing a room filled with antique furniture and an ornate 4-poster bed. On the bed, she saw the parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, bound and gagged. Their eyes were wide with fear as they struggled to break free. Emily hurriedly untied them, and they gasped for breath, trying to explain what had happened. "It was him," Mrs. Thompson managed to say between sobs. "The man upstairs. He took our children." Before Emily could react, a deep, menacing voice echoed from the shadows of the room. "You should have left well enough alone, Emily." She turned, her eyes widening in horror, to see a tall figure emerging from the darkness. It was the man upstairs, dressed in tattered clothing and a disheveled beard that obscured most of his face. In his hand, he clutched a wicked-looking knife. Terrified and cornered, Emily backed away slowly, clutching the candlestick tighter. She knew she had to make a run for it, but the man was blocking her path to the stairs. Just as he lunged at her with the knife, Tommy and Lily appeared out of nowhere, their eyes still glinting strangely. They grabbed Emily's hand and led her toward the window. Emily hesitated, but with the man hot on their heels, she had no choice but to follow the children's lead. They jumped out of the second-story window and landed with a thud in the front yard. Emily scooped up Tommy and Lily, who seemed strangely unaffected by the fall. They sprinted toward the nearest neighbor's house, where they called the police. When the authorities arrived at the Thompson mansion, they found no sign of the man upstairs. The parents were safe, but the mystery of the man remained unsolved. The children, who had been acting strangely, were taken into protective custody. In the weeks that followed, the townsfolk whispered about the man upstairs, who had vanished without a trace. Some believed he was a ghost, while others thought he was a deranged criminal. Emily never babysat again, haunted by the memory of that fateful night and the unsettling children who seemed to know more than they should. To this day, the legend of the babysitter and the man upstairs lives on in the small town, a chilling tale of suspense, horror,